Tony asks this. Confirm where Jesus went during the 3 days that he was in the grave.
Well, now that's an interesting one, too. We know, for example, that he did go to paradise. And you know where I get this one, right? Jesus is on the cross, and, he's crucified as one of three. Mm-hmm. And one of the criminals apparently believed in Jesus right up there on the cross. And what did Jesus say to him?
Today.
He said, today you will be with me in paradise. Now, we know from other scriptures, such as 2 Corinthians 12 and the book of Revelation, that the word paradise is a metaphor for heaven. The Greek word for paradise carries the idea of garden of delight, and it kind of reminds us of the Garden of Eden. Only heaven is better. Heaven is never, it's never defiled. It's not something that's been defiled like the garden was when Adam and Eve sinned. And so the thief, the moment that he died, the moment that crucifixion took his life, his spirit departed from the body and went straight to heaven. And Jesus said, today you will be with me in paradise. And the fact that Jesus was there too indicates that at the moment of his death, he was in heaven. Now, there's one other thing that I can add here, Susie, and that is 1 Peter 3:18 and 19, which is one of the most controversial verses in the New Testament. Don't you just love controversy?
Mm-hmm. I like it when I can talk with you about it, because you seem to bring sense to it. Well, I tell you what,
this is one of those. This is one of those where there's a lot of disagreement, But the passage says this: Christ died for sins once for all, the righteous for the unrighteous, to bring you to God. He was put to death in the body, but made alive by the Spirit, through whom he also went and preached to the spirits in prison. Well, what does that mean? He's going to preach to the spirits in heaven. We know that Christ went to paradise, but apparently he also preached to the spirits in prison at some point during that 3-day period before he resurrected. And by the way, it wasn't a full 3 days. It was part of one day, all of one day, and then part of the next day. That's the way that it actually pans out. But in any event, who are the spirits in prison? That's one of the million-dollar questions there, and there's an awful lot of scholars who believe that maybe the spirits in prison refers to fallen angels who had grievously sinned against God. Most fallen angels, the angels are still on the earth. They're still answering to the devil. They're trying to foul Christians up and doing wicked deeds and so forth, but there was one group of angels who especially sinned against God. They grievously sinned against God. And a lot of people think that maybe it's referring to those fallen angels in Genesis 6:1-6, who were disobedient to God during the days of Noah. And that same group of angels is mentioned in 2 Peter 2, verses 4 and 5, and Jude 6. And according to that interpretation, these angels disobeyed God and left their first estate and, in some sense, had some kind of relations with women, which was some kind of a horribly heinous sin against God. So they're locked up. And so Christ goes down to preach, not to preach a sermon of salvation, but as a proclamation of victory. The idea being that maybe these evil spirits thought that Jesus had been destroyed through the crucifixion, but he was about to be resurrected on day 3, and he was going down there to proclaim that message. Now that's one very good interpretation. There's some scholars that hold to different interpretations of that. But in terms of what Jesus did during the 3 days, those two elements are probably the two clearest that we have. He went to paradise, that is to say heaven, and then secondly, we see that he preached to the spirits in prison at some point.
Okay.